अर्जुन उवाच स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा समाधिस्थस्य केशवः स्थितधियः किं प्रभासेत किम् आसीत व्रजेत किम्. So this is a question asked by Arjuna, how a person situated in Krishna consciousness speaks, and that is ka bhasha. Kim prabhaset, what language he speaks. Kim asit, how does he sit. Vrajet, how he engages in sense objects, with sense objects. So there are two main themes here. One is ka bhasha, kim prabhaset. So there we discussed that how Krishna is talking about the thought process. How does he thinks, and then he speaks. And Kim Asit Vrajeta Kim talks about his sense control. We elaborately discussed about this question being asked by Arjuna. And then in 2.55, Krishna speaks about the general symptom of a Sthit Pragya. Sri Bhagavan Vacha प्रजहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान् आत्मनि एवात्मना तुष्टः स्थितः प्रज्ञस्ततोच्यते. So Lord is telling, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, when his mind thus purified finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So we elaborately discussed this in the morning. Now the gate to transcendence is when one gives up sense gratification, when one gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, then only one can enter into the realm of transcendence. And why one gives up? Because he knows that all such desires, they arise from mental concoction, and he has to give up all such desire. Sarvan api. It's not that okay, I give up all and I'll maintain one. Even that one desire will not allow us to enter into the realm of transcendence. So Krishna is saying one has to give up all such desires of sense gratification, knowing well that they arise from mental concoction. And then the more mind becomes free of material desires, that much mind becomes purified and peaceful. So that is how Krishna speaks, that because of these material desires, mind is impure and mind is agitated. But the more mind becomes free of these material desires, mind is purified and peaceful. So now this was 2.55. They were the general symptoms of a sthit pragya. Now 2.56. दुःखेषु अनुद्विग्नं मनः सुखेषु विगतः स्पृहा वीतरागभयक्रोधः स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते. Krishna is telling, dukkhesu anudvigna, one who is not disturbed in mind even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. So, one who is not disturbed in mind even amidst threefold miseries. So, Prabhupada is writing, the word Muni means one who can agitate his mind in various ways for mental speculation without coming to a factual conclusion. It is said that every Muni has a different angle of vision. Unless a Muni differs from other Munis, he cannot be called a Muni in the strict sense of the term. Nasa rishi yasya matam na bhinnam. Muni means you need to have a different opinion. But a sthir dhir Muni mentioned here is different from an ordinary Muni. The Sthir Dhira Muni is always in Krishna consciousness and he has exhausted all his business of creative speculation. He is called Prashant Nihesesa Mano Rathantarha. One who has surpassed the stage of mental speculation and has come to the conclusion that the Lord Krishna or Vasudeva is everything. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Mahatma Sudulabha. He is called a Muni fixed in mind. Such a fully Krishna conscious person is not at all disturbed by the onslaught of threefold miseries. For he accepts all miseries as the mercy of the Lord, thinking himself only worthy of more trouble due to past misdeeds. And he sees that his miseries, by the grace of the Lord, are minimized to lowest. Similarly, when he is happy, he gives credit to the Lord, thinking himself unworthy of happiness. He realizes that it is due to only Lord's grace that he is in such a comfortable position and is able to render better service to the Lord. And for the service of the Lord, he is always daring and active and is not influenced by attachment or aversion. Attachment means accepting things for one's own sense gratification. Detachment is the absence of such sensual attachment. But one who fixed in Krishna consciousness has neither attachment nor detachment because his life is dedicated in the service of the Lord. Consequently, he is not at all angry when his attempts are unsuccessful. Success or no success, a Krishna conscious person is always steady in his determination. This verse and next verse, the Lord answers the question, how does he speak? Means, Kim? Ah, Kim Prabhaseta. Right. This verse and the next verse, the Lord answers the question, how does he speak? See, now this verse is answer to this question that how does he speak? And what Krishna is saying? That he does not become disturbed. When happiness is there, distress is there. So here also Krishna is talking about what? Thought process. So as I was saying before, that when Krishna is saying Kim Prabhaseta, Ka Bhasa and Kim Prabhaseta, they relate more to the thought process of a devotee. The same way he's saying that these two, they are answer to this particular query being put forward. So a devotee who is steady, his mind is not disturbed by adhyatmika suffering in the form of hunger, thirst, fever, or headache, or adi bhotik coming from snakes or tigers. This is like Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur writing those days. Now Adi Bhautik coming from so many people. Or Adi Devik suffering from extreme in wind or rain. Now even cold and summer. Or earthquake and so many. When someone asks about his welfare, he says simply that the suffering is his prarabdha karma, which he must unavoidably endure. He is not agitated with suffering. Dukkhesu and dugna manah. Otherwise, internally he will think in this way if not asked. Understood? अगर उनसे कोई पूछेगा अरे आपको इतना जीवन में दुख क्यों मिल रहा है तो सब मेरा ही है कर्म और अगर कोई नहीं पूछ रहा है तो भी उसका थॉट प्रोसेस यही है वही लिखा है ना अदरवाइज इंटरनली ही विल थिंक इन दिस वे इफ नॉट आस्क्ड कोई पूछेगा तो वही ना व्हाट डज ही स्पीक व्हाट इज थिंकिंग दैट ही विल स्पीक because he is naturally in the Vedic time people were honest and they would speak what they are thinking. This absence of disgust at his situation is understood by the intelligent person to be the symptom of an undisturbed person. Means he is not becoming disgusted by that situation. That means he is a undisturbed person. False indifference to suffering, the mark of an impostor, however, is detected as such by the wise man. Such a pretender is called fallen or depraved. In the face of opportunity for happiness, he is without desire and says to himself or others that it is simply his prarabdha karma which he must tolerate. And the intelligent person recognizes by this his quality of being devoid of desire for happiness. हैप्पीनेस भी आ रहा है तो क्या बता रहे क्या करें टॉलरेट करना पड़ेगा क्या करें कर्मा में लिखा था इंजीनियर बन गए कितना कुछ गलत चीजों को सीख लिया These qualities are made clearer. He is devoid of attachment to enjoyment, vitarag, devoid of fear from such things as tigers they want to eat him. He is devoid of anger towards friends who have attacked him. As an example, Jad Bharat in front of goddess Durga did not show fear or anger towards the Chandal leader who wanted to kill him. Like that, Sanskrit Thakur is saying. So now we'll analyze this verse. Huh? So all of you have to now answer. I'll ask questions. ठीक है? Basically, what he's thinking, because sometimes we may not speak, but then we are speaking. इसमें दुखेशु का मीनिंग क्या हुआ? When misery comes, right? And in the purport, mainly which miseries are mentioned? So why threefold are mentioned? Why not four real problems are mentioned here? हाँ, क्योंकि वो तो कोई बोलेगा अरे बीमार थोड़ी ना होगी, बुढ़ापा तो बाद में, डेथ बाद में. And here, because he asked the question, how does he speak? Because it's a moment to moment affair, daily affair. So daily we undergo threefold miseries, right? That's why it is mentioned here. Dukkhesu means what? Dukkhesu, threefold miseries, which are part of our day-to-day life. So adhyatmic klesh. Sometimes some devotee may speak very lovingly to us. We'll feel very happy. अरे प्रभु जी कितने अच्छे हैं. Sometimes some devotee may give a sarcastic comment, or sometimes some devotee may speak something which may hurt us. Then that is adhyatmic. Or no one is hurting, but then our mind is disturbed. And sometimes we also may not know why our mind is disturbed. That is adhyatmic. Our mind is disturbed, na? Adhyatmic. Or we have some disease, we got some problem in the body. That is adhyatmic. So these are dukkhesu, they come. Then adibhotik klesh, some interaction may happen which may not be pleasant, or very cold weather, very hot weather, or we are trapped in some traffic, we have to walk along to go to Kumbh or something like that. So that is adibhotik. Or mosquitoes. Sometimes you put a mosquito net and above mosquito net he comes. And then he's having his music display. He sings. आप लोगों ने आधे घंटे भजन संध्या किया, अभी मैं 4 घंटा करूंगा. Like that. And then Adi Devik, all natural calamities. So Anudvigna means not disturbed. ये शब्द और कहाँ यूज हुआ है भागवतम में? अनुद्विग्न. हाँ, ही वहां पर भी आप देखोगे तो स्पीच से रिलेटेड है. तो उसमें भी क्या है, वो एजिटेटिंग स्पीच नहीं बोलता है जो दूसरों को अनुद्विग्न करे. और यहाँ पर क्या है, खुद अनुद्विग्न वाला. और कहाँ यूज होता है? प्रहलाद महाराज के बारे में आता है कि नो मैटर हाउ मच वाज टोल्ड टू प्रहलाद महाराज, बट ही वाज अनुद्विग्न. ही वाज नॉट गेटिंग डिस्टर्ब. उनके जो संडे नंबर का है, दे वुड टीच टू प्रहलाद महाराज एंड ही वुड बी सिटिंग इन फ्रंट इन द क्लास and he would be doing like this, and then they would ask him to repeat. He would repeat as it is, and they would feel, my lord, so nicely, attentively, he has heard everything. But when they would take Prahlad Maharaj to Hiranyakashipu, that time he would speak something else, and they would, Are Bapre, from where this has come out? And then Hiranyakashipu, he would become angry. How come you taught all this to my son? Baba, हम लोग नहीं सिखाए, ये कहीं और से है. Like that. And he would chastise. But Prahlad Maharaj was least affected. Anudvigna, he was not affected. And then it is mentioned Manaha. Because disturbance मन में आती है, फिर वो gross senses में reflect होती है. So that's why Anudvigna Manaha. तो ये एक ये सब एक्चुअली सिम्टम्स हैं कैसे हम भक्ति में ग्रो कर रहे हैं. जितना हम दुख से ज़्यादा डिस्टर्ब हो जाते हैं, वो एक साइन है कि वी आर गेटिंग मोर अफेक्टेड बाय द ड्युअलिटीज ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड। अब देखिए चित्रकेतु महाराज की जिंदगी में उन्होंने नारद मुनि ने जो प्रोसेस बताया उसको फॉलो किया, भगवान के दर्शन किए, एंड ही बिकेम अ exalted devotee. And then he's traveling, and then he saw Lord Shiva with Mother Parvati, and then he happened to say that only Lord Shiva can do like this. So in one way he was not having offensive attitude, and he just kind of laughed that who can be other than Lord Shiva, who can give a class like this, keeping wife on the lap, that too to the renunciates. But Mother Parvati took it wrong. एंड नाउ यू सी, आप ये नहीं बोल सकते रे मदर पार्वती का ट्रेनिंग प्रॉपर नहीं हुआ है। हु इज मदर पार्वती? शी इज लाइक मदर ऑफ ऑल मदर्स। But then that is how the nature of this world is. Prabhupada says no one can say how fire took place in the forest. Bamboos they come, some strike happens, they rub each other, fire comes. So in the material world, you cannot must say that why this calamity comes. It comes. That's the nature of the world. So suddenly you see Parvati, and that too to such an extent she cursed that you become a demon in next life. And then you see the reaction of Chitraketu Maharaj. What he does? And then he says, my dear mother, what you have spoken is surely the desire of the Supreme Lord. So I accept this. And then he clarifies that I did not mean this. So you see how he could see that although temporary, the situations may be very provoking, but he is thanking that is surely the desire of the Supreme Lord. Now anyone can justify, no, I am already a devotee chanting, I already got darshan of the Lord. Why I have to be a demon, and how this can be Lord's desire? But you see how much faith he had that this is Lord's desire, and very humbly accepted this. Very humbly. In our case, if some injustice happened to us, then we become angry for every person. But that is how the nature of pure souls are. See, what happens is anything happens to us, any sukha comes in our life, any dukkha comes in our life, that all is our due karma. No person brings that for us. Whatever sukha dukkha comes is our karma only. Now Vedic culture does not say that you just tolerate only. You try your best what you can make adjustments, but beyond those adjustments you have to know and tolerate and go ahead, because it will come from our very childhood. There are certain happiness which they came from our childhood. There were some dukkhas or suffering, they were supposed to come and they came. Each one of us has good number of experiences like this, is it not? हम में से हर किसी के कुछ एक्सटेंट हुए हैं, कहीं कुछ बहुत सीरियस डिजीज आया है, लाइक चेतन चरण पू सेज ना that how his mother took him to have this vaccine of polio. But somehow the refrigerator was not working, so that vaccine got non-functional, and because of that vaccine only he got polio. So people go to have a vaccine to not have polio, but the vaccine became a cause of polio for him. Same thing happened in my brother case also. My mother had taken him for polio vaccine, and that person, I don't know how he applied that injection. After that vaccine, he got polio. This is how the material world is. But Krishna, depth of Krishna consciousness means he's not disturbed by that. Like that. And you see, this is beauty of Krishna consciousness, how it can take us beyond the dualities of this material world. That is beauty of Krishna consciousness. Most people are hovering, most people are on this surface of duality, and they become so happy and so distressed by the happiness and distress of this material world. Especially they become more when distress comes. So that is the nature of the mind. When happiness comes, mind says, why only this much? But when distress comes little bit, mind says, why even this much? That is the nature of the mind. So that's why Krishna is first mentioning Dukkheshu Anandvikramana. दुख में बहुत डिस्टर्ब हो जाता है, राइट? Sometime we have, and how it happens don't know. Like we have one devotee in REC Kannauj voice. You might have seen him in the temple also. He has that fiver hand. Matlab his actual hand is not there, so clay hand is put. Maybe in the camp you will notice he comes. So I asked him that how come your full hand is not there? So he would wear one kada. Kada, you understand, no? Ring, this kind of. And there was some machine, I don't know, maybe oil producing machine or some machine was there. So he was around the machine, and this kada got stuck to the machine, and the hand went inside like that to such an extent till here hand is cut like that. And it was sudden, like what he can do. It was like he never thought, he never wanted, he never desired. Suddenly it was not there. Then I asked him, were you righty or lefty? He said, Prabhuji, I was righty. Then I told, then how come? Then he told, I practiced to become lefty. Now he's a lefty. He writes with left hand. How difficult, just imagine now if our right hand is taken off and we are righty. And now we have to do everything with left. Very difficult, no? Like, small things also writing will become a huge task like that. But that is the nature of the world. When what will happen to any one of us, don't know. Suddenly you find devotees get some terrible disease, and that is dukkha like that. But still, fixed in Krishna consciousness means undvigna. He is not affected. He is not affected. That is the beauty of a person in Krishna consciousness. So we see Prahlad Maharaj, no matter what plan was made by Hiranyakashipu, anudvigna, he was not disturbed. He was right in front of death, but then he was undvigna. He was not disturbed. Jad Bharat also, when he was taken to Durga, they wanted to slaughter him. Not disturbed. Very humbly is being taken away. Amrish Maharaj and Durvasa Rishi came, undvigna, no disturbed. Because they know that everything is happening by the sweet will of the Lord. And if Krishna wants to kill, no one can save. And if Krishna does not want to kill, then no one can kill. So as we progress in our spiritual journey means is a journey of faith. And we also need to have this faith in Krishna. Many times we have this faith that Krishna is in control. We have this faith that Krishna is strongest. But sometimes we don't have faith that Krishna is intelligent also. We feel, our intelligence is better than Krishna's intelligence. Krishna is in control, but he should do in this way. Why he is doing in this way? So it takes a lot of time to have faith in Krishna's intelligence also. But devotee means he has that faith in Krishna's intelligence. Dukkeswan Dviknamana. That no matter what is happening, he does not get affected. He tries his best what can be done in that situation. And best example who manifested this in their practical living are Pandavas. You see what not happened to them. Actually, Yudhishthira Maharaj was supposed to be the king, but then unfortunately, these five they were treated and neglected by the Kauravas. Duryodhana, in fact, made a plot to kill all of them. How much disturbance will come? Is it not someone? Suppose someone makes a plot to kill us. How much revenge and how much disturbing feelings will create? But Yudhishthira Maharaj and Pandavas, they remained calm, peaceful. The whole gambling match, what an insult and how they were thrown into the forest, still calm. And then finally battle, calm. Why? Because they know that Krishna is there. Same way when Krishna requested the demons and the demigods to have this churning. So that time, one of the very first thing which Krishna Vishnu tells to demigods is, see, whatever comes out of the ocean, all of you don't become disturbed. And don't fight with demons. Let them take. And this is how Krishna acts actually. If we become very disturbed by the superficial things which happen in our life, then we lose the nectar of Krishna consciousness. What Vishnu told the demons and demigods, आप चिंता मत करो. और demons का nature पता था भगवान को. Demigods को बोले आप चिंता मत करो, आपको नेक्टर मैं दिलाऊंगा. जो भी आता है अगर वो मांगते हैं चुपचाप उनको दे दो. डिस्टर्ब मत होना किसी सिचुएशन में, मैं हूं. And that was the hope, and they kept faith on those lines of Lord Vishnu. अब देखेंगे हर वो पूरे पास टाइम में हर चीज एक तरीके से लॉर्ड ने ही किया है. वो पहाड़ उठा रहे थे, उसमें गिर जाता है, उनके हाथ पैर चले जाते हैं, फिर लॉर्ड आते हैं, रिवाइव करते हैं, पत्थर को उठाते हैं, समुद्र में डालते हैं, वो नीचे जा रहा होता है, कुर्म अवतार के रूप में आते हैं, फिर साइड में जा रहा होता है, अजीत अवतार के रूप में आते हैं. वो ऐसे कर करके थक जाते होते तो लॉर्ड आते हैं, लॉर्ड ही उसको टर्न करते हैं. तो पूरा पास टाइम में वही करते हैं. और फिर जो भी आता था लॉर्ड ने डेमीगॉड्स को बताया था. जो डीमंस बोलते थे ये हम लेंगे, हाँ ले, ये हम लेंगे, हाँ ले, ये हम लेंगे, हाँ ले. नेक्टर आया, नेक्टर लेके भाग गए. लेकिन लॉर्ड ने क्या बोला डेमीगॉड्स को, आप चिंता मत करो, अनउद्विग्न मत होना. अब देखिए वो ऐसे ही खड़े हुए हैं. अंदर से थोड़ा डाउट भी आ रहा होगा उनको, लेकिन फिर भी भगवान पे विश्वास है. तो भगवान क्या किए, मोहिनी मूर्ति के रूप में आ गए. और डेमीगॉड्स देखिए चुपचाप बैठे हुए हैं और सारा नेक्टर इनको मिल गया. ये इतना फड़फड़ा रहे थे, कुछ नहीं मिला. क्यों? क्योंकि भक्त का ये सबसे बड़ा स्ट्रेंथ है, वो है कृष्ण उसके साथ में है. तो इसलिए डिवोटी को बहुत अनद्विग्न नहीं होना चाहिए. ही शुड हैव दैट फेथ ऑन कृष्ण. एंड so one thing is in devotee's life, whatever happens, but we should never give this shelter of Vipra Dharma Chutashraya. With the blessings of Guru and Krishna, we should accept all situation which comes in our life. Although temporarily it may be a miserable situation, but in the end we will be able to please Krishna. In the end we will have success. That's why for us more than this is following Vipra Dharma Chutashraya. We should not become very disturbed by this dukkha and dviganamana, because material world is like that. Dukkha's will come, so many will come that we'll have disturbance naturally. But we have to understand that we should not become too disturbed. That is dukkheshu anudviganamana. Then is sukheshu vigatispraha. So इसमें बहुत अच्छा जो है यूज किया है. Sukheshu in happiness, vigatispraha means without being interested. Anudviganamana means without being agitated. तो जब दुख आएगा तो एजिटेट नहीं होना है. और इसका परपोर्ट में प्रभुपाद जी क्या बताते हैं कि अगर दुख आता है तो भक्त क्या सोचता है, मेरा ही प्रारब्ध है और हाँ टोकन रूप में आ रहा है. आई वाज सपोज टू गेट मच मोर. एंड इट इज अ फैक्ट फॉर डिवोटीज. इट इज नॉट जस्ट अ इमोशनल एडजस्टमेंट. It is a fact. When we come to fold out devotional service, Krishna reduces our karma and gives. Someone may say, then why Krishna gives only? Because we need certain purification, and because we are not able to properly surrender to Krishna. So to that extent, that karma comes in our life. That verse comes na, Diksha kale sisya kare atma samarpan. So to that extent, Krishna removes karma. But to some extent we don't surrender. To that extent we have to reap our karma, like that. Like Vishwan Chakraji Thakur says that how when we offend devotees and when we commit offense on the strength of the holy name, so we have to suffer also for these two also. So we lack certain surrender, or we have not properly followed certain things. So because of which Krishna will release some part of our karma. अच्छा थोड़ा इधर जा रहा है, लो. That also some part of our karma only Krishna gives. So that we should see as that this is my karma only. And that should inspire us that let me take more shelter of Krishna. Let me surrender more to Krishna. Like this. And Sukheshu Vigat Isparaha. So when happiness comes, he is not interested. जब दुख आ रहा है तो बहुत एजिटेट नहीं हो रहे, और हैप्पीनेस आ रहा है तो ही इज नॉट मच इंटरेस्टेड। जनरली जैसे भी हैप्पीनेस आ रहा है, बहुत कुछ आपको एकदम जो है, आप ऐसे रात में सो रहे थे और आपने कहीं तो कुछ लॉटरी लगाया था या कोई कुछ आपने खरीदा था और आपका नाम आ गया, और एकदम जो है 100 करोड़ रुपए आपके नाम पे आ गए बैंक अकाउंट में। तो इनका कैसा नेचर है? सुखेशु विगत स्पृहा। वो आएंगे अपने सुपीरियर के पास, प्रभु जी पता नहीं 100 करोड़ रुपए हैं, आप देख लीजिए राधा माधव की सेवा में कैसे लगा सकते हैं। कितने लोग कर पाएंगे? हमें प्रभु जी पूरा नहीं लेना है इसमें से। प्रभु जी 10% लीजिए। जो इजी स्टैंडर्ड है, उस इजी स्टैंडर्ड को इजी रखिए, डिफिकल्ट मत बनाइए। बहुत मुश्किल है। सुखे सुविगत इस पर जब हैप्पीनेस आता है तो फिर उसको एंजॉय करने का मन करता है नेचुरली। बट elevated devotee means sukhe vigat spraha. He is not interested in the spiritual happiness also, like that. So you see, Raghunath Das Goswami, when he went to Jagannath Puri, that time also his parents had sent to Brahmana cooks, and they would send time to time all the money, grocery, and everything. And what they would do, they would call all the Vaishnavas and they would feed all the Vaishnavas. And later on, they started feeling Raghunath Goswami that I am trying to be a GS boy. But what is this? In fact, now I have joined only. So then slowly, slowly he started reducing. That is Sukheshu Vigatispra. They don't want to enjoy that. They don't become very happy about it. They don't become interested in those things. They know that they are sent by Krishna and they should be used in Krishna's service. Like this. So devotee क्या करता है? जब भी इस तरीके से उसको अपॉर्चुनिटी आता है तो उसको भगवान की कृपा के रूप में देखता है और भगवान की सेवा में उसको लगा देता है। तीसरा पॉइंट प्रभुपाद जी बहुत सुंदर बताए, चाहे दुख आए चाहे सुख आए, वो अपनी सेवा कभी नहीं छोड़ता भगवान के लिए। करेक्ट। चाहे दुख आएगा तब भी सेवा कंटिन्यू करेगा, सुख आएगा तो भी सेवा कंटिन्यू करेगा। Radheshyam Prabhu was telling, Sundarshyam Prabhu's father left his body and next day morning he was in Mangal Aarti. तो राधेश्याम प्रभु कितना डिटैच्ड है, कल पिताजी का शरीर छोटा और आज मंगल आरती। ऐसा है। तो क्यों? क्योंकि दुखेशु अनुद्विग्नमनः, और ना ही सुखेशु विगत स्पृहा। मानोगे आपके पिताजी बहुत धनी थे और शरीर छोड़ा और विल बना के गए, और उस विल में लिखा है कि मेरा जो भी 1,500 करोड़ का एम्पायर है मेरे बेटे के नाम पे है, अमन तिवारी इनको दे देना। तो एकदम जो है वो हो जाएगा, राइट, डिस्टर्बेंस हो जाएगा। लेकिन सुखेशु विगत स्पृहा, ही डज नॉट गेट अफेक्टेड बाय दिस। ही नोज कि ये सब भगवान की सेवा में किया जाना चाहिए। अमरीश महाराज हैड एवरीथिंग, but he never thought himself to be the proprietor or enjoyer of those things. He saw whole kingdom as mercy of the Lord and he engaged whole kingdom in the service of the Lord, including himself. एक बार की घटना है कि एक बार उनकी वाइफ जो है पानी का बकेट लेके आ जाती है टेम्पल हॉल वॉश करने के लिए। तो अमरीश महाराज देख लेते हैं, तो अमरीश महाराज वाइफ को डांटते हैं, ये सेवा मेरा है और आप नहीं करोगे इसको। आपको कुछ सेवा करना है दूसरा सेवा लो, मेरे सेवा नहीं करोगे। बिकॉज क्लीनिंग जो टेम्पल हॉल है वो खुद करते थे, सोचो आप, राजा के रूप में। और जबकि कितना एम्पायर था, कितने मेड सर्वेंट होंगे, कितने नौकर चाकर होंगे, बट हिज हैप्पीनेस वाज कमिंग दैट आई एज अ menial servant is able to render this service to Krishna. That was his happiness. That is Sukhe Suvigatispara. They don't become charmed by happiness. If happiness comes or something comes like this, they use it in Krishna's service. You see, in case of Prabhupada, Prabhupada says, Krishna tested me twice. And these two both are a test. By first taking everything away from me, second by giving everything to me. And by mercy of the Lord, I passed both tests. आप देखेंगे प्रभुपाद जी की जिंदगी में कितना कुछ आया, लेकिन प्रभुपाद जी उस सब चीज को किस लिए यूज किए? प्रोपगेशन ऑफ कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस. Prabhupada is ideal example of both. So many miseries or difficulties came before. He was not anudvikta. And he never gave up trying, as Prabhupada says, no. that whether dukkha comes or sukha comes, a devotee does not give up his service. So many dukkha came, but Prabhupada never stopped his service. He kept on translating. Can you imagine you work very hard and translate whole Bhagavad Gita, and then your wife sells that Bhagavad Gita for a piece of biscuit? How, one will become disturbed, and one may not write again, but Prabhupada again wrote. Right? And so many difficulties came. No one was helping. God brothers are not helping. Someone may get a thought, no, अरे क्या है, मेरे गुरु महाराज के तो कितने बड़े बड़े शिष्य हैं, सन्यासी हैं, बहुत विद्वान हैं, वही लोग कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं तो मैं क्या करूंगा? Naturally thought can come, right? And Prabhupada went to Bombay and he spoke on one of the Vyas Puja, and he was speaking very gravely to all the God brothers that our Guru wanted us to preach, and here we are fighting among each other. This is not what our Guru wanted. So he tried his best to bring them to the same mood which Bhaktivedanta Thakur wanted. But when he saw he's somehow other, it is not happening that way. Then we see how Srila Prabhupada, he started doing himself alone. He was in Agra. Few boys became interested to take initiation from him. Then one disciple told to Prabhupada, here only our Guru gives Diksha. And then Prabhupada left that place, came to Vrindavan, started working hard in Delhi, coming to New York. Then later on, he started getting success. He was getting so many followers, and even very rich disciples he was getting. But he used everything in the service of the Lord. Prabhupada was signing checks, such big monies were coming. Prabhupada was purchasing big properties, but all for Krishna's service. Sukheshu vigata sparaha. Like that. Neither he became disturbed nor he became elated when there is happiness, and he continues his service. Like that. That is the beauty of Krishna. Like Sudama Brahman, initially he was very poor, and actually he never got a thought that I'm unhappy. And he never got a thought that I should go and ask something from Krishna. In fact, in that video it comes, no, that people they ask that how come you are poor? Then he says, Arey, this is because of my prarabdha. It is nothing to do with my Krishna consciousness. And then we see that a wife is saying that, Arey, why we are poor, this and that. And he says, see, Krishna loves all of us. And it is our prarabdha, why we have to worry about it. And then when wife says, then he goes. And there also after reaching, he did not ask Krishna. And when he comes back, he finds a palatial building. And then what happens? He uses that building to remain Krishna conscious, to speak about Krishna, to glorify Krishna, to express gratitude to Krishna. So he did not become Sukheshu Vigata Sparaha. He did not become affected by it. Right? That is Sukheshu Vigata Sparaha. Same way we see when Tukaram Maharaj, Shivaji, he comes and he gives a lot of jewels and gifts to Tukaram Maharaj. And Tukaram Maharaj was out, his wife comes and she takes. And then later on, Tukaram Maharaj comes and he says, Arey, why you are accepting all this? This is poison. The wife says, no, this is good poison. I want to take it. Then he says, no, I cannot give this poison to you. So, Sukhesu Vigatis Praha. So, devotee of the Lord, he does not become disturbed when there are difficulties, nor he becomes very excited when there is happiness. He remains equipoised in both situations and continues his service. So this can happen when one is steady in his Krishna consciousness. Other it is very difficult. Then it is mentioned Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. So this is Rag, Bhay and Krodha. So Vita means free from. Rag means attachment. Bhaya means fear and Krodha means anger. So he's free from these tendencies. He's free from attachment, fear and anger. Vita means free from. Right. So he does not have these attachments, fear, or anger like that. In one way, any sense objects we have, as we discussed before also, the attachments they produce these three emotions, right? So when we get some sense objects, then we become attached to them. And when those sense objects are taken away from us, then we lament about them or we become unhappy. Or when someone comes in between, then we show anger, or we always have a fear that I may lose those sense objects. So, this is a constant emotion which flows in all living entities. Aha, nidra, bhay, maithunam cha, bhay. Right? So, bhay also means defending. Like aha, nidra, maithuna cha, and bhay. That is fear also, that is defending also. So in these four, which is the most powerful emotion? Aha, nidra, bhai, maithunam cha. Huh? No. Out of these four, one is most powerful emotion. Defending. That is bhai. Fear. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. This fear, bhai, is most powerful emotion. Meaning what? When one gets this bhai, fear, he can do anything with anyone. That is defending. Means how strong this emotion is to protect oneself. Chitraketu Maharaj had so many wives, and one of the wife got a son. Now Chitraketu Maharaj started giving more time to this wife. Now other wives they started feeling neglected. So it produced fear in them. What about us? King is not giving any time and attention to us. Now see, because of that fear produced in their heart, what they did? They poisoned the child only. After such a hard struggle, Chitraketu Maharaj got a only son. But then this fear came in their heart, and then they were ready to go to this extent. Many times we have seen, sometimes somebody cheats some king and he sides with some opponent person to defeat this king. Why? Fear. Because he feels that my existence is at stake. Why Manthara could, you know, produce such hatred in the heart of KK by producing this fear? What will happen to you? If Lord Ram becomes king, Kaushalya, she will be the main queen, and you have to become a maid servant. And that fear produced such heavy emotion in the heart of Kekai that Dasrath Maharaj is dying in front of her and she is not able to feel any emotions for Dasrath Maharaj. Dasrath is telling to Kekai that Kekai, what you are doing will take away my life here. She says, let them go. But I don't worry about it. Why? Because so much she was in fear. The defending is like that. When someone's existence is at a stake, he is ready to do anything. All rules, all dharma, all regulations, everything goes on stake like that. I suppose in your college you are in a classroom and suddenly fire takes off, and then everyone will go out, right? And suppose now your own teacher is on gate, you may slash your teacher also behind to get out first, is it not? Why? Because fear. Or your director also may be there around, but you will leave him also behind, correct? Is it not? Because fear, like that. This fear is a very powerful emotion, and this fear comes because of our attachments. This fear comes because of expectations. This fear comes because of our desires. So that's why there is a fear always, and it's a constant emotion which all living entities has. You will see a small bird from behind, you try to go closer, suddenly the bird will be fearful, because that's a constant emotion in all of us. Like suddenly morning 4 o'clock, three times call comes from our father, suddenly fear will increase, correct? क्या हो गया, 4 बजे फोन किया, 3 बार फोन किया, क्या हो गया? Then you call and then they are not lifting, fear will increase more. Correct? There's a constant fear, is a constant emotion. And why this is so strong? Because of our attachment to material things. So those who are fixed in Krishna consciousness, they don't get affected by these things also, attachment, fear, and anger. They are not attached, they know that how these things are temporary. If I attach myself to these temporary things, I will suffer more, right? So someone who knows the temporary nature of this world, why will he become attached to it? Is it not like a child becoming attached to the sand castle which he makes? Then he will cry because soon the wave will come and sand castle will be destroyed, right? Same way, he is not fearful because he knows that change is the constant phenomena of the material world, and there is no need to fear because material world is designed in such a way. Anyone who takes birth, he will grow, he will eventually become old, and eventually he has to die. He knows that there are many things which are beyond me. I don't have control. He is not fearful. He surrenders to Krishna and knows Krishna is in control. So whatever he does, that will be good for me. So that's why he's not fearful. Once there was a plane in that many passengers were going, and suddenly the plane started doing, left right. So all the people they became very concerned. What will happen? Some problem came in the plane. So all people were in anxiety and fear. There was a small girl. She was calm and peaceful. So the people asked her, "What happened to you? How come you are so calm and peaceful?" So she said that my father only is a pilot. So more than anyone else, he would like to protect me. So why I should be fearful? He will try his best to protect me. And that same way, devotee of the Lord, he has that faith. That who's the pilot? Krishna is the pilot. More than anything else or more than anyone else, he would want good for me. So whatever situation he arranges, whatever thing he arranges in my life, then that is good for me. So devotee is not fearful like that. So that is how a devotee's life is. I remember once we were in Dhanuskoti, and like now when we go to Dhanuskoti, so that time now we have a straight road which goes till end, right? But previously, uh, almost around, uh, I think almost 15 to 20 kilometers, it was only sand you have to walk around 15 to 20 kilometers. So there was one point till that road was there. You have to get down. And then from that point, it was only sand. And 15 to 20 kilometers you have to walk. Or in the daytime before 5 p.m., they would have some vehicles which had huge tires. So you can take those vehicles to go till the end. So when we went, we reached around 4:30 or so. So the vehicles they told no, now we'll not go. And by seeing it was appearing, it is not very far. the Because when nothing is there, it appears not nearby only. And I was first time going with my friends. With me, there were two more devotees. So I told them, "अरे पास में ही है, चलो चल के आ जाते हैं." So they told, "ठीक है चलो." We started going. So fishermen they were coming from that direction and seeing us in uh, Tamil language, they were telling us that don't go. Something they were telling like this. We understood that they are saying don't go. And then my friends they asked me. I told, "अरे पास में ही है, क्या है ये लोग, चलो जाके आ जाएंगे." I took them. I took them. Then we reached to as we started going. Suddenly it became, sun started setting. Suddenly it became little dark, and suddenly we saw some crabs coming out of ocean, and it's such huge size crabs like this walking. And then one of our devotee friend he saw. He said, "प्रभु जी देखो नीचे." बोला, "अरे ये तो क्रैब है." फिर एक स्टोन था उसके ऊपर हम तीनों खड़े हो गए। फिर हमने उस साइड को देखा, पीछे को जिस रास्ते से हम आए थे, पूरे रास्ते में क्रैब। तो ये डिवोटी बोले, "प्रभु जी।" पहले रुको, अभी रोने से कोई फायदा नहीं है। फिर वहां देखा कोने में, जहाँ पर एंड पॉइंट था, वहां कोई तो एक जीप खड़ा था और एक फैमिली कुछ तो यज्ञ कर रही थी। तो मैंने उनको बोला देखो, नीचे मत देखना, नीचे देखोगे तो डर जाओगे, वहां देख के जितना तेज भाग सकते हो भागो। तो फिर वो ऐसे ऐसे करने लगे, तब तक मैं नीचे उतर के भाग गया। तो वो भी आ गए। फिर हम वहां पहुंचे फैमिली के पास में। तो द फैमिली, they were 3 4 people. So, and they were Tamil speaking. So I explained them that somehow we are caught like this and we need to go in your vehicle. Traps are there, we will die. So they started telling in Tamil, space nakka ekka aisa. So we started requesting कि you have to help. तो फिर जो ड्राइवर का सीट था, उसके बगल में जो था उसमें ही हम तीनों एडजस्ट कर लिए। मैंने वो हम एडजस्ट करेंगे, आप लोग पीछे बैठ जाओ। और फिर जब उसने गाड़ी ऐसे लाइट ऑन की, अंधेरा हो गया था तब तक, और फिर क्रैब्स टायर में ऐसे ऐसे पड़ रहे थे। हम्म। फिर जब शोर पे आ गए, तब फिर मैं उनसे बात कर रहा था कि प्रभु अगर आज ये गाड़ी नहीं होता तो क्या होता। तो ये प्रभु ये आज हम नहीं होते। हाँ, ह्यूमन ईटिंग क्रैब्स थे। तो डिवोटी डज नॉट हैव दिस फियर, वीत राग भय क्रोध। सेम वे दिस आल्सो ना, अपना हरिद्वार में, राइट, हरिद्वार, राइट। हम लोग रस्सी बना के जा रहे थे, आप में से कोई नहीं था। अरे बहुत अमेजिंग एक्सपीरियंस था। तो हम लोग जब ऐसे गए, तो सब लोग क्रॉस कर लिए, बैठ गए, हम लोग एक एक स्टोन पे चैंटिंग कर रहे थे। धीरे धीरे करके पानी ऊपर बढ़ रहा था, तो हमको देख के अच्छा लग रहा था। सब डिवोटी बोले प्रभु जी देखो पानी कैसे बढ़ रहा है। और हम पीछे के स्टोन पे जाते जा रहे थे, और फिर से बोले प्रभु जी पानी कैसे बढ़ रहा है। मैं कहा देखो अच्छा है पानी बढ़ रहा है। फिर कुछ तो चाहिए था, क्या था, एकादशी था उस दिन, तो लंच पर सुबह कुछ खाया नहीं था, लंच के लिए हमको टेम्पल में हम लोगों ने वो किया था। तो दो डिवोटी को बोला था हमने, तो कि आप लोग चलो हम चलते हैं फिर। एक तो उसमें से महावीर प्रभु थे और एक शायद योगेंद्र प्रभु थे, ऐसे ही कुछ थे। तो ये लोग गए तो पानी ज्यादा था, थोड़ी देर के बाद वो वापस आ गए। अब क्या था, जब हम क्रॉस किए थे तब पानी कम था, तो ये लोग जब वापस आए बोले प्रभु जी पानी ज्यादा, पानी ज्यादा। और हम लोगों को प्रीवियस एक्सपीरियंस था जब पानी कम था। हम लोग बोला अरे क्या तुम लोग डरते हो। सब डिवोटीज के मन में ऐसा ही आया, क्या तुम लोग। फिर एक दो डिवोटी और ट्राई किए, योगेश्वरानंद सुता प्रभु वगैरह, तो वो भी वापस आ गए। फिर हमने उसके उस साइड देखा, दूसरी साइड में जो लोग थे वो सब ऐसे ऐसे कर रहे थे, मत आओ पानी ज्यादा है, पानी ज्यादा है, मत आओ मत आओ। फिर मैंने देखा, मतलब पानी ज्यादा है इसलिए ये लोग सब ऐसे बोल रहे हैं। फिर कुछ डिवोटी बोले प्रभु जी आगे देखते हैं, पुल होगा ये होगा। सब जगह जाके देखा, कुछ था नहीं, पानी बढ़ता ही जा रहा था। और वो लोग सब ऐसे ऐसे कर रहे थे। तो मैंने उनको बोला देखो पानी तो बढ़ता ही रहेगा, एकादशी हमको तो पार करना ही है, यहाँ कब तक रहेंगे, पता नहीं पानी का कैसा क्या है। बोला ऐसा करो आप लोग धोती निकालो। तो 3 4 ड्यूटीज का धोती निकाल के उसको ऐसे ऐसे बांध के, तो मैं बोला सब धोती को पकड़ना है, धोती कोई नहीं छोड़ेगा, जिसने धोती छोड़ दिया गया वो। और सबने धोती पकड़ लिया। और मैं बताया कि पहले पहला पैर रखना है और वो स्टेबल हो जाए तब दूसरा पैर उठाना है, वरना उठाना मत। तो ऐसा करके हमने वो बना लिया। और तब तक क्या हुआ, इस पहाड़ पे जो लोग थे, सबने अपने वीडियोस कैमरा, वो कैमरा जो है, वीडियो बनाना चालू कर दिए। और इस साइड लोग सब मना कर रहे थे। मैं बोला देखो लोगों के बारे में मत सुनना, उनसे देखोगे सुनोगे तो डिस्करेज हो जाओगे। तो फिर हम लोग चलने लग गए। अब जब, हाँ दूसरा क्या था, सामने वाले लोग जो हैं वो नरसिम्हा आरती गा रहे थे, बीच में प्रभुपाद मंत्र और एक हरे कृष्णा मंत्र है, ऐसा कुछ तो था। हम जा रहे थे, एक पॉइंट पे क्या था, ऐसा लगा कि हम गए, क्योंकि पानी यहाँ तक था। मेरे को भी लगा कि मैंने गलत डिसीजन ले लिया है, हम चले जाएंगे ऐसा करके। फिर मैं बोला अब जो भी है, अभी कोशिश करते हैं। उसके बाद पता नहीं क्या सब में ऐसा शक्ति आया, एकदम क्रॉस कर लिए, और कुछ किसी को नहीं हुआ। आई थिंक सागर पू भी उसमें थे, है ना। वो छोटे से वो क्रॉस कर गए, मैं कहा, अरे आप कैसे क्रॉस कर गए। हाँ, हाँ, पता नहीं मेरे को काम कैसे क्रॉस किया। मुझे तो लगा कि लग रहा है हम गए आज। फिर पूरा क्रॉस किया। फिर वो 3-4 भक्त तो वहीं रुक गए थे। वो डर गए थे और हम लोग सब निकल गए। फिर थोड़ा शांत हुआ। कुछ समय लगा उससे थोड़ा वो होने के लिए। फिर डिवोटी बोले, प्रभु जी अगर हम नहीं क्रॉस कर पाते तो? मैं बोला, आज तो एकादशी था ना। और पावन गंगा जी थी, हरिद्वार। तो प्रभु जी आपका ऐसा विचार था क्या? मगर ऐसा था नहीं, लेकिन बीच में जाने पे मुझे लगा ऐसा। आगे वो थे प्रेरणा बॉय, अनिकेत। अनिकेत वो सबसे आगे थे, उनके पीछे मैं था। ऐसे था। तो बहुत इस एक दो डोटी के मोबाइल में पानी वगैरह गया था, बाकी तो उसके बाद क्या वहां गए ना, सब ड्यूटी बोले, प्रभु जी कैसा एक्सपीरियंस था, प्रभु जी इसका रिकॉर्डिंग होना चाहिए। मैं कहा चलो जाके देखते, कहीं उन्होंने रिकॉर्डिंग किया था। फिर हम लोग वापस आए देखने के लिए। फिर वो तब तक वो लोग चले गए थे और तब तक पुलिस पुलिस आ गया था, तो हम थोड़ा दूरी हो गए। फिर पकड़ लेगा हमको भी, इनको तो डांट ही रहे थे जो 4 लोग बचे थे। ऐसा हर डिवोटी को एक्सपीरियंस है कि कृष्णा हेल्प्स। पूरी तरह का भाई क्रोधा। Same way when we were going by vehicle, that time accident happened. That time also by mercy of the Lord only. Nothing happened. जो आसपास के गांव वाले आए थे, बोले स्वामी जी कुछ हुआ तो नहीं? मैं बोला जहाँ तक हमको समझ में आ रहा है तो नहीं हुआ है। तो वो हमारा पूरा बॉडी ऊपर से नीचे टच किया ऐसे। स्वामी जी कुछ नहीं हुआ? मगर नहीं, भगवान ने बचा लिया। मगर लगता है ऐसा ही है। क्योंकि डाउट हो रहा था कि कुछ हुआ क्यों नहीं। तो मैं भी पूरा शरीर देखा दबा के, मगर सब जितने पार्ट्स मुझे पता लग तो रहा है सब ठीक है। फिर भी हम लोगों ने बॉडी अपना स्कैन कराया। वहां पहुंच गए कि भैया कहीं अंदर से टूट गया हो कुछ। तो कौन सा स्कैन होता है इसमें अंदर घुस जाते हैं? सीटी स्कैन। प्रेमना बोले स्कैन स्कैन करा लो, पता नहीं क्या है। पता चला बाहर से सब ठीक, अंदर से कुछ गड़बड़ हो। हेड स्कैन, ब्रेन स्कैन, सब स्कैन कराया, तो उसमें सब प्रॉपर निकल के आया। But point is, devotee does not fear because of his faith. Knowing well, one thing is he knows about the nature of the material world. Second is he has faith on Krishna. When Prabhupada was on his last days and he was not able to eat anything and he became very weak. So seeing that one disciple of Prabhupada, he became like this, Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada at that time told him, don't think it will not happen to you. He will also become old. So devotee has practical expectation or reasonable expectation from material nature. We'll become ill, we'll become diseased, we'll become old, we will die also. And he is not fearful while doing his normal daily activities, knowing well that Krishna is there. Once I remember I was in room and Radhesham Prabhu was there and call came from Sadayogi Prabhu. And प्रभु जी हमेशा लाउड स्पीकर पे बात करता है, तो मैं रूम पे था। हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम। राजेश, यस यस सदायोगी प्रभु प्लीज टेल मी। Prabhuji, you know, we were going by a train and the train met with an accident. What? What about all of you? Prabhuji, we are alive. How it happened, Prabhuji? The bogies, they derailed, and you know, all the bogies before our bogies derailed. And our bogie and the bogies after, they remained on the track. And Rajan asked, what all of you are doing? Prabhuji, you were doing Mangal Arati, we were not knowing only. And then suddenly, when some sound came, then we stopped Mangal Arati. Then we saw that front all bogies are derailed. Said, oh, be careful. This material world is horrible place. Hare Krishna. Like that he was talking. Only devotees can be like this. Kalkantapur was saying, in the West, what happens when a person is about to die? Many government people also come. They have some government kind of system. He was saying whenever devotees they die and when these people they come, health guard something like that name is there. So these people they come and they say, we have seen so many people dying, but we have never seen like all of you. So calm, so composed. And the devotees around also, they are also happy, they are doing kirtan. And this fellow also is happy leaving the body. Like that. So you are saying, I never saw such calm guys leaving this world. George Harrison's wife was asked, when George Harrison left his body, that what do you say about him leaving the body? So he says, I have never seen a person living so calmly. He was so balanced and so calm, composed, leaving the body. Why? Because he's a devotee. So Vitarag Bhaya Krodha. We see so many sincere, great devotees also. How they live? Calm, composed. We don't see them, getting agitated, too much in anxiety. Why? Because they are Sthit Dhir Munir Uchyate. This Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, and Baldev Vidya Bhushan is saying, what will the Sthit Pragya say when put in disturbing circumstances? Is answered in two verses, this and next, right? When afflicted by pain through his own body or mind, other creatures or nature, his mind is undisturbed, andvigna manaha, internally. And if asked, he says, oh, this suffering is my prarabdha karma, which I must experience. And when he obtains delicious food or good welcome internally, and if asked by others, he says, without desire for enjoyment, this is also my prarabdha karma, which I am forced to accept. When attaining those things, he does not show a happy face. ऐसे पनीर का सब्जी खाएगा, वो पनीर का सब्जी खा रहा हूँ, क्या कर रहे हैं, आज ये बनाया है। पूरा हमारे लिए पनीर का सब्जी तो ऐसे खा लेंगे, लेकिन कुछ अगर डिफिकल्टी आएगा तो मुश्किल आ जाता है. He is devoid of affection for desirable objects. Vit raga. When objects are taken away, he does not exclaim, you righteous people steal from me, who am very weak. He is free from such miserable disposition. Vit raga. And he does not exclaim in anger. Raga is here defined as absorption in object. Fear is here defined as thinking oneself helpless to prevent those dear objects being taken away. Anger is defined as having those dear objects taken away through though one thinks one is capable of defending them. तो रागा क्या है? उनमें जो एब्जॉर्प्शन है. फेयर क्या है? जब कोई लेके जा रहा है लेकिन मैं कुछ कर नहीं पा रहा हूँ. और उसके कारण क्या है? एंगर है कि जब वो कोई ऑब्जेक्ट को लेके गया. So he does not exclaim in anger when objects are stolen. Very beautifully it comes in that Tukaram Maharaj story, when he comes back and his home was taken because the crops he could not protect. And then when he comes that day, the wife had very nicely cleaned the house. And then he comes and wife says, कैसा घर लग रहा है आज हमारा, कितना साफ किया है. He says, हमारा? अरे बेवकूफ, नहीं बेवकूफ नहीं. क्या जैसा भी है, बट अरे आपको हमारा नहीं तो और किसका घर, हमारा ही तो घर है. Then he says, it was Lord Vithal's house he gave and now he has taken. मतलब क्या consciousness है ना. It was Lord Vithal's house he gave, he has taken away. So he is not having these emotions of rag, bhai or krodha. You see, this person speaks his experience to himself internally or to others verbally without grief and without longing. तो ना ही वो ऐसा बोलता है क्या करें, ये नहीं मिला, वो नहीं मिला, ये नहीं हुआ, वो नहीं हुआ. ना ही उसको ग्रीफ है कि कैसे चला गए. So now the next verse also is answering same. How does he speak? यह सर्वातरनाभिस्नेह अनभिस्नेह तत्तत्प्राप्य शुभाशुभम् नाभिनन्दन्ति न द्वेष्टि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. So both are in one way related also. So he is also saying same, that is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising or nor despising it. Actually, in one way, what is good, what is bad, no one knows in the material world. Sometimes you'll find there are certain things which you may think that it is good, but then that only becomes bad. Sometimes you may think that, oh, it is bad, but it becomes good. That story comes, no, horse and a farmer, right? He was having a he horse, and somehow or other that he horse goes somewhere else. And before that, what happens that he horse was so nice. The village people, they were telling him, "Arey, it is such a nice horse. Why don't you sell and have good money?" He says that, "No, no, I don't want to sell. I want to keep it." And then he goes somewhere. Then the people, they say, "You fool! We told you to sell and have money. Now you see, you lost the money also and horse also." He says, "I don't know whether it is good or bad. Krishna knows." Then he goes and comes with one female horse. All the village people, they say, "Arey, you are lucky man. You got both now, he and she. You are fortunate. Good luck." Then he says, "Good luck, bad luck." No. And then his son was driving the horse, and the horse throws him, and he gets some bone breakage or something. And then the villagers, they come, "Bad luck. Only son you had, and that son also got this fracture." And again he says, "Good luck, bad luck, God knows." And there was a war between America and Vietnam, and soldiers, they came to recruit all young people in the village. They recruited all young boys except this, because he had fracture. And all the people came, "Alas, we lost our boy because he was young. And fortunately, your son is still. So you are fortunate. Good luck." And again he says, "Good luck, bad luck, God knows." We see this is how devotee is. When Srila Prabhupada got his first marriage, so Prabhupada was not so happy with Radharani. And Prabhupada was thinking to have second marriage. So he revealed to his father. And then what his father said? "Ah, you are so fortunate that you have a wife which you don't like. So you will not become attached." So you see, devotees are like that. In all situation, they are like that. The Tukaram Maharaj's wife was highly uncooperative. And Tukaram Maharaj also expressed in one of the Abhangas that, "I am so fortunate, Vitthal, you have given me such a wife, I'll never become attached." So he was like that. Right? Sridhar Swami, we see that his wife left after giving birth to a baby. He saw that as Krishna's mercy. Hare Krishna, I wanted to renounce. You had taken her away. Gyanendra Swami is there in Maharashtra. He had a wife who was very favorable. He also thanks God that, "Thank you, you giving me such a favorable wife." All three have three different situation. All three are thanking and grateful to the Lord. That is our devotees. Because every situation what Krishna arranges, especially for a devotee who is sincerely trying to take his shelter, is for his Krishna consciousness only. That faith we need to have. That I am trying to sincerely go towards Krishna. So whatever situation is being arranged in my life is for my Krishna consciousness only. And we should turn to Krishna in those situations that, "Krishna, I know you cannot, you will never do something which is not good for me, but I don't have that intelligence. So please help me to understand and give me strength to follow your plan to come closer to you." And you'll find then Krishna will unfold his plan, that how this is what he wanted, and how that situation actually will help you to come closer to him. Most of the devotees, they have this experience that initially they thought, why this happened? But after some years, they thought that this is good. This was good plan made by the Lord, because of which I could become more sincere and I could grow more in my spiritual life. The devotee tries to seize every situation in a way that how it can help me to come closer to Krishna. He does not become affected by good or evil. He does not become affected by happiness or distress, like that. He sees that how I can continue my service. He sees how I can go closer to Krishna. So he has no motivation, affections at all. He does not rejoice on attaining good fortune or curse on attaining misfortune. He has no motivated affections at all. See, Prabhupada purport is so nice. What Prabhupada is saying, there is always some upheaval in the material world which may be good or evil. See, Prabhupada is telling good also as upheaval. Why? Because both can be distractions to Krishna consciousness. One who is not agitated by such material upheavals, who is unaffected by good and evil, is to be understood to be fixed in Krishna consciousness. Well, actually, both can be distractions from Krishna consciousness. And we have seen, like, we had one devotee in one voice. So he was very good looking, and he was like, good height and everything, intelligent also. So he had a lot of desires to enjoy. Somehow or other, he tried practicing certain principles. But when he passed out, then slowly, gradually, his thoughts, desires increased more. And then he gave up devotion service, he gave up chanting, and he became fully materialist. So why? Because their mind gives more thoughts and ideas to enjoy. See, you are very beautiful, you have strong body, and you have good material success, you have good fan following. Is it easy to be Krishna conscious or is it difficult to be Krishna conscious? Difficult, that's why it is mentioned upheaval, like that. Because then so many desires they come, right? Suppose somebody is very beautiful and many Matajis are behind him, and then he has a desire to be a GS boy. Very difficult, no? Because mind will torture him like anything, like that. So in one way, in the material world, both are distractions, and sometimes good things can become more distraction in relation to Krishna consciousness. That's why Kunti Maharani is saying, better you send difficulties to me because your difficulties can help me to remember you more. And if I remember you more, then that is success for me. Sometimes the happiness they take away Krishna's remembrance, and miseries they bring forth Krishna's remembrance. So sometimes a devotee may be more careful in happiness, knowing well that they have more opportunity to forget Krishna. And that's why Prabhupada is using this word upheaval in the material world. Sometimes in devotee life also it happens that a devotee may get lot of success. Suppose you have become very powerful and lot of success, you have achieved certain things. So then what happens is it becomes difficult for one to submit to anyone, to take guidance from someone. He becomes very proud about what he has done, what he has achieved, and then becomes difficult for him, like that. So that's why it is mentioned upheaval. So he does not become elated or very happy, neither he become very unhappy. So this can happen when we see ourselves more as a devotee, when we identify more as being servant of Krishna, when we identify more as being belonging to Guru and Krishna. Like that pastime comes when Dhanudas became a devotee, and all the sannyasis, they were little concerned that how he became a favorite disciple of Ramanujacharya. So we see that how Ramanujacharya, in order to teach them a lesson, he keeps courage. Dhanudas sannyasis, they go and they could take half side of ornaments, And then Dhanudas goes back and he sees the wife and he says, how come you have half side ornaments? And she says, some ashram brahmacharis came. It seems there was no money in ashram. So they wanted to steal. So then he says, but why you gave only half side? She said, I wanted to give other side also, and I was trying to change my side, but somehow they became afraid and then they went. Then Dhanudas becomes angry. You fool lady, still you have attachment to these things. Don't you know everything belongs to Guru and Krishna? And you had such opportunity to offer everything to service of the Guru. But because of your attachments, you did this. So you see consciousness of Dhanudas. All the wealth he had, he thought that as belonging to Guru and Krishna. So as devotees, actually, we have to know what happens when we get some resources, then this consciousness comes, impurity, that they belong to me. Instead of that they belong to Guru and Krishna. Instead of thinking that how I can engage these things which I have received by Lord in service of Guru and Krishna, we think, oh, they are my property, I will enjoy. As long as one is in the material world, there is always a possibility of good and evil because this world is full of duality. तो इस वर्ल्ड में ये दोनों चीज आएंगी, कभी सुख आएगा कभी दुख आएगा, कभी आपकी राइट आंख फड़केगी, कभी आपकी लेफ्ट आंख फड़केगी, और कभी दोनों आंख फड़कना बंद हो जाएंगे. That's how material world is. But one who is fixed in Krishna consciousness is not affected by good and evil, because simply concerned with Krishna, who is all good, absolute. Such consciousness is Krishna consciousness, one in a perfect transcendental position called technically Samadhi. Like that. We see, like Jayanand Prabhu, the disciple of Prabhupada, he was like that. He himself would drive a taxi, he would get money, and then he would give all the money to run the temple. Later on, when he became ill, the parents sent some money. That also he gave to Prabhupada. He never thought himself having existence separate from him. There are two things. One is Sarnagati and this uh, Bali Maharaj is known for which Atma Nivedana. So I was hearing Haldar Maharaj he gave in Mayapur. So what is difference between Sarnagati and Atma Nivedana? You are saying Sarnagati means you fully surrender to Krishna, but still you may have certain things about yourself. But Atma Nivedana means आप खुद भी आपके नहीं हो, आप भी भगवान के हो. So there is a zero possessiveness. That is Atma Nivedana. Everything, including myself, belongs to Krishna. That is Atma Nivedanam. That is very high platform. And you see how Krishna reciprocates. Krishna always wants first us to Sarva Dharman Pratyaja. First we surrender, then Krishna will protect. In case of Bali Maharaj, it is not that Krishna told beforehand only that अरे तुम surrender करो, मैं नीचे फिर द्वारपाल बन जाऊंगा, तुम्हारे को अगली जन्म में इंद्र बना दूंगा, ऐसा बोला. Full surrender. Krishna took everything and then he is chastising. बताओ तीसरा पैर का रखना है. You claim yourself to be a big Dani? Tell me. राइट. ब्रह्मा जी बिल्डर हो रहे हैं, भगवान इतना मत करो, आप तो पत्रम पुष्पम फलम तोयम वाले हो, इसने सब कुछ दे दिया. शास्त्र ब्रह्मा जी को कंफ्यूजन हो रहा है, बाप रे हम गुणगान करते हैं, जाके प्रचार करते हैं आपका, ऐसे उदाहरण देख लेंगे लोग तो भक्ति से भाग जाएंगे. आप सोचो भगवान आपसे सब कुछ ले ले, और फिर डांटे भी, बताओ और क्या लेना है आपका, सब तो ले लिया 2 ही कदमों में, मुझे तीसरा कदम चाहिए, बताओ. फिर बली महाराज देखिए कितना हम्बल बोलते हैं, लॉर्ड आई एम सो ब्लेस्ड दैट यू हैव टेकन एवरीथिंग अवे फ्रॉम मी, प्लीज आई एम रिमेनिंग, कीप दिस leg here. That is Atma Nivedana. And then you see reciprocation of Krishna. Krishna always reciprocates like that only. And you have to be ready, having faith in Krishna. You see Bali Maharaj, his wife is chastising, Guru is chastising, Brahma is feeling concerned, but he is steady, knowing well कि Lord मेरे Lord है, लेने दो जो कुछ लेना है, और मेरी जीवन की सफलता क्या है, ये लेके चले जाए सब. तो ये डिवोटी का एक फेथ है भगवान पे, और भगवान उस फेथ से फिर रेसिप्रोकेट करते हैं ऐसा. Devotee knows that Krishna takes everything away from me. That is my life. That is my life made for. So he is not affected by the dualities of this world. He knows that how they will come and go, but they should be offered to Krishna, like that. And we have to sincerely think about this, that whatever we have, whatever we know, we should uh, think that how I can offer this in Krishna's service. If you know cooking, we should see how I make and offer to Krishna. If you know singing, how I can sing for pleasure of Krishna. If we know speaking, how I can speak to inspire myself and others in coming closer to Krishna. If we know anything, like now devotees are making website for propagating Krishna consciousness, making logo for propagating Krishna consciousness, or doing anything. We have to see whatever we know, whatever we have should be engaged in Krishna service. To that extent, that thing will not affect us. To that extent, what we identify with those things, then material aspect of those things will affect us. We have to know that whatever I have, including me, belongs to Krishna, and it should be for Krishna. Then we don't become disturbed. Otherwise, disturbance will come like that. The person is without affections which are subject to material conditions. Unconditional affection, out of mercifulness, however, should remain to some degree. He is fixed in those qualities. On receiving something favorable to himself, Swavam, through respect or feeding, for instance, he does not approve. Receiving disrespect, such as punch from someone's fist, he does not disapprove. There is one pastime, it comes in I'll build you the temple. Usme, there was one devotee, he was given a service by Prabhupada that you should make garden as fast as possible in Juhu. And His Holiness Garas Swami Maharaj was temple president that time. So, and this person wanted funds to make garden as Prabhupada wanted. So, he time and again would ask money from Giriraj Maharaj. Ki Maharaj, that time he was brahmachari. Giriraj Prabhu, I need money. And he would say, I don't have money. When it comes, I'll give you. So like that, then he started telling, आप money नहीं देते हो, सेवा नहीं होता, वो नहीं होता. So one day what happened, he came to the office. Loknath Maharaj was also in the office. Garaj Maharaj is sitting here. This devotee comes and he shouts, I need money. And he says, I don't have. And then he spits on the face of Giraj Maharaj. And Giraj Maharaj takes the handkerchief, cleans the spits and starts chanting. मतलब कितना डिफिकल्ट है ना, कोई आपके मुंह पे थूक दे और वो भी आप प्रेसिडेंट हो. मीन्स इन वन वे फॉर सर्विस यू आर ऑन अ हायर पोजीशन. और लोकनाथ महाराज का क्या हुआ, वो बेहोश हो गए देख के. गिरिराज महाराज बोले इसका तो बाद में मैं इसको देख के डर गया, इसको क्या हो गया. उसको पानी वानी डाला क्योंकि वो इतने कल्चर्ड बैकग्राउंड से आए हैं, उन्होंने सोचा ही नहीं था कभी ऐसा हो सकता है. वो पानी वानी डाला तब उठ के आए, क्या हो गया डोटी सर्कल ऐसा. तो आप देखो मतलब कितना टॉलरेंस ना, कोई ऐसे मुंह पे थूक दे, बट दे नो दैट आई एम अ सर्वेंट, कृष्णा इज टेस्टिंग मी, लाइक दैट. गिरिराज महाराज इज वेरी स्पेशल, ही वेंट थ्रू सो मेनी टेस्ट लाइक दिस. उनके साथ सब कुछ हुआ है. वो भी है माता जी जो प्रोस्टिट्यूट, उनको रात में 11 बजे, आप सोचो आप अकेले रूम में हो, कोई नहीं है, और रात को 11 बजे बहुत सुंदर प्रोस्टिट्यूट आती है आपके पास में और इंजॉयमेंट का प्रपोजल डालती है, एंड महाराज जस्ट रन्स अवे. व्हाई? बिकॉज ही इज अ वेरी स्पेशल सोल. दैट इज व्हाई Prabhupada had a special mercy on him. So he does not become affected by these dualities. He does not. So somebody punches you, then also he does not. He does not say, "Oh, you are so religious, serving a great devotee. I bless you with happiness." Nor he does curse the disrespect. respectful person saying, "Go to hell, you sinful creature." But obviously, we know a devotee may not consider like this, but Krishna does not forget such devotees, right? Devotee will not take any offense, but Krishna will not leave that person who is hurting devotees. That is the consciousness. It's very high consciousness actually. He is devoid of specific affection for any living entities. However, since he has quality of compassion, he has little general affection. Receiving favorable items such as fine offering of food, garland, or sandalwood, he does not rejoice, praising others with words like, "You are very righteous. May you live long." Nor does he show hatred when receiving unfavorable items such as being disrespected or hit with a stick. He does not curse, saying, "You are a vile sinner. May you die." He is a Sthit Pragya. This verse shows the quality of the Sthit Pragya by indicating what he does not speak. The first half of the previous verse, showed what he would speak. Okay. So he's saying, I think this is Baldev Vidyabhushan, right? He's saying 2.56 in that verse, it was mentioned what he would speak. And this verse says, how does he not speak? Like that. Basically, one is when some situation comes, he restrains himself. Second is he speaks in a very positive way. Both things are mentioned in these two verses, 2.56 and 2.57. That he knows the quality of restraint and he knows the quality of speaking without getting agitated. And this world is like that. Sometimes you find some situation comes where agitation may come. Sometimes some situation may come where suddenly you may become very disturbed. But devotee means he keeps calm, collected, he is balanced. That is how devotee is. So now which part is answered? Kim Prabhaseta. Should we go ahead or do you want break or okay? ठीक है. ऐसा बोले? अच्छा अच्छा. ठीक है. We can take 5 minutes break. Then Hare Krishna. So we'll discuss now this. यदा संहरते चायं कुर्मो अगानिव सर्वसः इन्द्रियाणि इन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense object as the tortoise draws its limbs within the cell is firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. तो इसमें ये कौन से का आंसर हो रहा है? किम आसित. किम आसित में क्या बताया गया था कि कैसे वो इंद्रियों के पास में आने से बैठा रहता है, यानी कि वो अपने आप को रिस्ट्रेन कर पाता है. दैट इज द क्वालिटी मेंशन्ड. So very amazing analogy is given here of tortoise. What happens whenever a tortoise sees any danger outside? What he does? He withdraws his limbs under the protection of a hard shell. So that is what mentioned, that a devotee of the Lord, being surrounded by the sense object, is able to restrain his senses like a tortoise. Because the test of a yogi or devotee or self-realized soul is that he is able to control the senses according to his plan. Most people, however, are servant of the senses and are thus directed by the dictation of the senses. That is the answer to the question to how a yogi is situated. Senses are compared to venomous serpent. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpents, like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are don'ts, some of them are do's. Unless one is able to follow the do's and don'ts, restricting oneself from sense enjoyment, it is not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. The best example set here is the tortoise. The tortoise can at any moment wind up its senses and exhibit them again at any time for particular purpose. Similarly, the senses of the Krishna conscious persons are used only for some particular purpose in the service of the Lord and are withdrawn otherwise. Arjuna is being taught here to use his senses for the service of the Lord instead for his satisfaction. Keeping the senses always in the service of the Lord is an example set with the analogy of the tortoise who keeps the senses within. This is Kim Asita, that whenever he finds senses, any disturbance or any distraction or any threat, he withdraws. He withdraws his senses such as the ear from the object of the senses such as sound, stopping the movement of the independent senses towards the external objects. He establishes them without movement internally. This is the sitting of the person situated in pragya. An example is given. He does so just as the turtle fixes his senses such as mouth and eyes within itself by its will. 6 verses now answer the third question. How does he remain suppressing his senses? ओके तो ये किम आसित का 6 श्लोकों में बताया गया है स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम 58। तो 56 और 57 में क्या बताया गया? क्या भाषा एंड किम प्रभाषेत। 58 से 6 यानी कि 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63। तो 63 तक बताया गया है किम आसीत। एंड हेयर 58 में एग्जांपल दिया गया है टॉर्टोइज का। ठीक है, 63 तक है अभी। विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिनः रसवर्जं रसोऽपि यस्य परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते। Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense object remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing higher taste is fixed in consciousness. So now what is mentioned? Kim asit means restraining the senses. But it is mentioned that one cannot artificially restrain his senses if he has not developed a higher taste. So restricting the senses, having a higher taste, both are important to have a fixed consciousness. If artificially one is trying to restrain his senses without having a higher taste, then it's a matter of time he may lose the restraint again. Why? Because the desire remains. Unless one is transcendentally situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulation is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for eatables. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Ashtanga Yoga, in the matter of Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, etc., is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. In one way, Krishna is telling sustainable asit is with higher taste. Param drishtvana nivartante. So one may try to restrain his senses, but if higher taste is not, then it is very difficult. For a long time, one cannot do. In a steady way, one cannot do. Like we see in case of Vishwamitra Muni, he was also trying to restrain his senses and not for less, for around 10,000 years. He was doing tapasya. But then we see Apsara comes and then he falls back. Why? Because higher taste he could not do. So Kim Ashit, that means he can withdraw himself from the senses, that he should try to withdraw like a tortoise, but he can do it in a steady way when he has a higher taste. Artificially, he cannot restrain senses for a long time like that. So higher taste is very important because senses have a nature to go and to seek happiness. So if he's not getting inner happiness, then naturally he'll depend on the happiness which comes from the sense objects, and then the senses will take him in that direction. That's what Prabhupada is saying here. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, but even the fool who is fasting because of sickness is able to stop the movement of his sense. For one who stops eating, the object of the senses disappear, but not the desire for the object. The desire for the object does not disappear. For the person situated in pragya, however, having seen the Paramatma, the desire also goes. So one is restraining the senses but maintaining the desire. But Sthit Pragya means he is able to restrain the senses and he does not have desire also. Why he does not have desire? Because he is having happiness internally because of higher taste. So ability to realize the soul directly is something that has to be attained through practice, not something that is naturally possible for everyone. So one who gets into the regulative principles, following Bhagavad Gita, following sadhana bhakti, then he can have higher taste. So thirst for sense enjoyment is not destroyed. However, because he has realized Atma superior to the sense object, which is full of self-manifesting bliss, even the thirst for the sense object is destroyed. That means at least one should be self-realized. Then he will not have thirst for sense objects. There are two things. One is self-realization. Second is God realization. Self-realization means to understand our spiritual true nature. And God realization means to understand our relationship with God. Like when a girl is small, when she grows little bit, after some years she understands I am female. That is self-realization. And then she should get married to have a master. That is God realization. Same way, after some time you understand, oh, I am so. That is God realization. Then I should have my master. That is God. That is God realization. So at least one should be on a platform of self-realization. Then he can have happy or he can be blissful because of his own nature. Because his nature is to be happy. Because he is made up of Satchit Ananda. Then the thirst for sense objects, that will not be there. Then he can be Kim Asit. Things are happening. Like Sukhdev Goswami. He's on this platform. When he's going, the girls are without clothes and he's just walking like that. And then behind, when father is coming, girls starts putting cloth. They were surprised, Are, my son was young, it's 16-year-old and I am old. Then he asked the girls, why you are covering now? Then they say, Are, your son is Sthit Pragya. His game Asit. So he does not see difference between male and female bodies. He sees soul, he is self-realized. But you are not on the same level. So you have to cover. Because he being a grasta, he has to distinguish between male body and female body. So we see that how he was not affected, he did not had any thirst for sense objects like that. Why? Because they understand I'm spiritual like that. So he was not affected by any of this thing. His quality is destruction of sense object and the thirst from which there is no deviation. unlike the sick man whose extension of sense object is not accomplished by the extension of thirst. So this 50, so 58, 59 we discussed. So 58 to 63 is answer to this question of Kim Ashita. So in 58 he says about tortoise, how he withdraws. But he says it cannot be sustainable withdrawal unless there is a higher taste. That is param drishtwana nivartante in the 59. Now he says 60. यततो हि अपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपच्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि हरन्ति प्रशभं मनः. Now he's saying that how it is extremely important if one wants to have sense control to develop higher taste. Why? Because senses are very strong. So it is mentioned the senses are so strong and impetuous that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. He's not talking about low class people, he's not talking about fallen people, he's talking about gyanis, he's talking about yogis, he's talking about siddhas, he's talking about bhaktas who have knowledge and who is trying to act on that knowledge by trying to control the senses. But they are so strong and impetuous that they can carry away even the mind of a man of discrimination forcibly, like that. We see so many examples in the history that how senses they can forcibly take away their mind of discrimination, and although they may try to control them. Oh, most of the yogis we see Indra send some apsaras, and then it becomes difficult for them to control, like that. Same thing Prabhupada is saying. There are many learned sages, philosophers, transcendentalists. Even the greatest of them, they fall victim to material sense enjoyment. And Prabhupada is giving example of Vishwamitra Muni, that he was misled by Menaka. And then Prabhupada is giving, but we see how devotee, because he is having param drishtwana evartante, because his senses are engaged in Krishna's service. He's quoting Yamunacharya that how he says, when a thought comes, I spit at that thought. It is as if a hungry man had satisfied his hunger by a sufficient quantity of nutritious eatables. Maharaj Ambrish also conquered a great yogi Durvasa Muni simply because his mind was engaged in Krishna consciousness. Save mana Krishna padaravindu vancham sikvakunta punana varnane. Only devotee who replaces with higher engagements, with higher taste, only he can not affected by the pushings and the force of the senses. Very difficult. You might have seen if we have some weakness, like someone may have weakness of eating, how strong craving the senses they create. Correct? You see, we have urge to speak. How sometimes without your control it comes out. But there's urge to speak. They're so strong, is it not? So we have certain like this. Vishwan Chavri Thakur says very nice. He says, the effort at the stage of sadhana is very great. Without power to turn back the senses completely at all times. Pramadini means causing agitation. Baldev Devbhushan also says very nice. He says this verse speak about the rarity of being a sthit pragya. How many sthit pragyas we will get? Very rare. Very rare. Very difficult actually. Who are situated on the platform of Atma, soul. How do the senses, they make the mind indulge in the sense object? By force. Because senses are strong, pramadhini. They can suppress that knowledge. Therefore, sthit pragya carefully protects his steadiness in jnana from the senses, just as person protect the great treasure from thieves. This is his setting control. Prabhupada gives that analogy of a person having many wives, right? And all these wives are pulling him in all directions. That is how a person having uncontrolled senses, he is tormented by all the senses. But if one is engaged in Krishna's service and understands, I am at least on the platform of godization. And if he comes to the platform where he understands I am a servant of the Lord, nothing. In one way, you see, Haridas Thakur is at more higher platform. Not only is getting he's not getting agitated by a prostitute coming, he is thinking to deliver her. Can you imagine? He's at very high platform. Why? Because he's God realized. He knows I am servant of Krishna. His happiness is coming in that relationship with Krishna. His happiness does not depend on his relationship with the sense objects. Because his happiness is coming in connection with Krishna because of his relationship with Krishna. That is why this relationship is now not affecting him. Like it happens, no? If you develop relationship with some other person, I suppose sometimes a boy may have good relationship with parents. But later on, after marriage, they develop more better relationship with wife, and then we see they neglect parents. They don't feel for parents. But for a devotee, to when his relationship is established with Krishna, he gets spiritual happiness. And it is mentioned that how one drop of spiritual happiness is far greater than all the happiness combined together in whole Brahmanda. We see how he feels so happy, joyful. Tani sarvani samyamya युक्त आसीत मतः परः वसे हि यसेन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिताः. So now Krishna gives, like till now Krishna spoke about Sthit Pragya, how he can be Kim Asit. Now he is saying in this verse how one can come gradually to this platform. What he is saying, you try to restrain your senses and you try to engage in Krishna's service. That is the twofold process. Someone may say, Roji, when somebody is engaged in Krishna's service, then he can have restraint of senses. But because of the senses, he is not able to engage in Krishna's service. What Krishna is saying, whatever restraint you can have, that much restraint you do as tapasya. Currently, it is tapasya for you. And try to engage in Krishna's service. Then this will become natural because you develop a high taste. Till this period is most difficult for a sadhaka. Which period? Restraining and engaging. Right. This period is most difficult for a sadhaka. There is sense control and there is higher taste. So this sense control is austerity till we develop higher taste. And engagement in Krishna consciousness is also austerity till we develop taste. So that is why it becomes difficult for sadhaka. Understood? Why sense control is austerity? Because this is natural inclination. Why this is austerity? Yes. Wait. Higher taste means here is engaging senses in Krishna service. It is same only, no, for us. ठीक है? So see, both are austerity for us. है कि नहीं? कुछ बाहर से नहीं खाना है, उसको मना करना, उसमें भी दुख होता है। फिर यहाँ पर आओ, प्रभु सुबह जल्दी खड़ा होना है, मंगल आरती करना है, 16 माला करना है, उसमें भी ऑस्टेरिटी है। तो ये क्या है? डबल ऑस्टेरिटी है। इसलिए दोनों जगह से क्या है? डिफिकल्टी। इधर सेंसेस बोल रही है इधर आओ, उसको मना करो नहीं, और फिर किताब पढ़ने में इधर माइंड बोल रहा है इसको मत पढ़ो, इधर जाओ। और आपको इधर से करके इसको इधर लगाना है। बहुत मुश्किल है ना? पहले तो इसका पेन है और फिर इसमें लगाने का पेन है। ऐसा इसलिए बिना भक्तों के संग के स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ इम्पॉसिबल है। तो प्रभुपाद जी बोलते हैं कि वन थिंग्स ही कैन प्रैक्टिस विदाउट एसोसिएशन ही इज लिविंग ए हेलुसिनेशन। दूसरी जगह प्रभुपाद जी बोलते हैं ही इज इनसेन। बहुत मुश्किल है एक्चुअली। आप सोचो ना, क्योंकि दबाव इतना ज्यादा है, सेंसेस भी ड्रैग कर रही हैं। आप उनसे अपने आप को रोकने का प्रयास कर रहे हो, जैसे आप भागवतम पढ़ रहे हो, पढ़ने का प्रयास कर रहे हो, मन नहीं कर रहा है, और फिर गुलाब जामुन की खुशबू आ रही है, ऊपर कुकिंग हो रही है, सेंसेस वहां जा रही है, नहीं नहीं इधर पढ़ना है। राइट? जैसे चैंटिंग टाइम में इसका बेस्ट एक्सपीरियंस होता है। चैंटिंग टाइम में आप अवॉइड करना चाहते हो कोई भी जो थॉट है उससे माइंड को, और भगवान के नाम में लगाने का प्रयास करते हो। भगवान के नाम में लगाने का प्रयास करते हो, माइंड एकदम रिबेल करता है, हरे कृष्णा। और फिर माइंड तुरंत भाग जाएगा उसमें, वो करेंगे ये करेंगे, फिर आप लाओ, वापस आ, फिर लगा हरे कृष्णा। तो एकदम कैसा होता है ना, बहुत अजीब होता है। माइंड बोलता है तू मर क्यों नहीं जाता, सो जा। फिर हम लोग कुछ समय के लिए डेथ, रिटायर्ड हट हो जाते हैं। कितना मुश्किल होता है, क्या क्या इमोशन से जाते हैं उस समय पे। करेक्ट? कभी एकदम ऐसे हो जाएगा, घोस्ट हॉन्टेड। कोई नया व्यक्ति अगर देख लेगा तो पागल हो जाएगी, क्या हो रहा है इनको। कभी सो जा रहे हैं, कभी एकदम खड़े हो जा रहे हैं, कभी एकदम समझ में नहीं आ रहा है क्या बोल रहे हैं। एक्चुअली ये इसलिए तपोदिव्यम पुत्र का इन सत्तम बताया, इफ यू डोंट हैव एटीट्यूड ऑफ ऑस्टेरिटी इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर प्रैक्टिसिंग स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ। We should have that attitude of austerity that it is not easy, it will be difficult. There is one Kalkant Prabhu was sharing, there was one FBI person. FBI, you know, no? क्या है full form? Federal Bureau of Investigation, ऐसा करके कुछ है, ऐसा कुछ है। तो they thought that these devotees they deal with drugs. So one of the FBI person, he disguised himself as a devotee, and devotees they welcomed him. So he came that I want to join the temple. So there was one temple president. He looked okay, come. So those days it was like that only. Nowadays, though, we have some systems. So he came, and then devotees told you have to get up early in the morning. So he was getting up early in the morning. He was chanting also, reading also, attending classes also. But he was FBI. He was seeing that कहाँ ये क्या करते हैं. After 6 months, ही अंडरस्टूड डिवोटी तो क्या ड्रग में डील करेंगे बेचारे, हो वैसे ही हेलुसिनेशन में रहते हैं। मरे हुए बेचारे, एक तरफ इंद्रियां खींच रही है, एक तरफ मन भक्ति में लग नहीं रहा, हाफ डेड रहता है डिवोटी। प्रभु मैं जिंदा हूँ। यू आर अलाइव, ओके ठीक है, वन मोर डे ऑफ ऑस्टेरिटी। After 6 months, he goes to temple president. He says, "For to inform you. Actually, I am a FBI agent. What? Yes. And I came here to clear my doubt. We thought all of you deal with drugs, but I understood. And then he commented before going, he said, the kind of training and schedule all of you follow, that is more tougher than our Navy also. Like that. Why? Because it is not easy. You bring any person and tell him you get up early, chant 16 rounds. He may do big thing, वो स्टार्टअप कर लेगा, लेकिन यहाँ उसका एंड अप हो जाएगा. चाहे कोई भी हो, इलॉन मस्क को भी बिठा दो तो उसका डस्ट निकल जाएगा, लेकिन बहुत मुश्किल है. इलॉन मस्क, मार्क जुकसबर्ग, और कौन कौन है, और कौन है, वो तो चले गए ना. और कौन बचा, वो भी खत्म हो गया उनका कैरियर है. जेज बेजोस. हाँ, जेज बेजोस, जितने भी हैं जिसको भी बुलाओ, एक दिन के लिए बस बोलो कि प्रभु एक दिन के लिए आप भक्ति करके दिखा दो. नहीं कर पाएंगे, बहुत मुश्किल है. बिकॉज सेंसेस दे ड्रैग. बट हमारा फॉर्च्यून क्या है, एक तो एसोसिएशन ऑफ डिवोटीज, और दूसरा है चैतन्य महाप्रभु एंड श्रील प्रभुपाद का मर्सी. आप सोचो, उन्होंने इतना अट्रैक्टिव एंगेजमेंट रखा है हमारी सेंसेस के लिए, इतना कुछ अच्छा इन्वायरमेंट दिया है. अगर मानो पूरा दिन आप पे कुछ है ही नहीं, तो वो क्या कर रहे हो, माया से दूर रहो, सोचो कृष्ण के बारे में सोचो. हाँ ठीक है, हरे कृष्ण. कितना हम सोच पाते हैं, कितना कर पाते हैं. You, if you reflect back our practice in terms of the characters in Bhagavatam, we don't stand anywhere. Is it not? We, we are like that. भैया आप लोग कर सकते हैं, हम लोग नहीं कर. जंगल में भी जाएंगे तो शेर ने दहाड़ दिया, वहीं पर हार्ट अटैक आ जाए. नारदो नहीं आएंगे, सुनीति ध्रुवा कहाँ गया, तो जंगल में गया था विष्णु की तलाश में, तो इसको हार्ट अटैक आ गया बेचारे को. पोस्टमार्टम कराओ, किस लिए गया. हमारे लिए तो बहुत मुश्किल है. लेकिन चैतन्य महाप्रभु जी का मर्सी है. वी हैव गुड environment, good engagement, good prasadam, whole culture is so nice. So there is a possibility that we remain busy in Krishna's service by engaging them, and we try to cultivate sense control. Then we can come to this platform. Krishna says there is no other way, because unless higher taste comes, this will not be natural, and unless to some degree we restrain this, we cannot practice only this. What Krishna says is, as a austerity, you try to control, follow the rules. For us to get up early in the morning is austerity, right? Almost, most of the days mind says, 4 बजे अभी नींद पूरा नहीं हुआ है. बोलता है कि नहीं बोलता? फिर भी उठना है, लेकिन क्यों? ऑस्टेरिटी है. लेकिन ये ऑस्टेरिटी थोड़ा इजी हो जाती है क्योंकि हम एसोसिएशन में. आप सोचो, अब अकेले हो, आप घर जाते हो या कहीं पर आप कंपनी में जाते हो, अकेला फ्लैट लिया, अकेला रूम लिया, और फिर आपका अलार्म बजता है 4 बजे, टिन 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 टिन. अब क्या होगा? वो नहीं, उठ मत, सो जा. 4 बज गया, 4:30, कुछ नहीं, मॉर्निंग प्रोग्राम बहुत हो गया, तड़पा दिया तूने मुझे इतने सालों. प्रोजी को 7वां रिपोर्ट भेजना है, मत भेज प्रोजी को. लिटरली, एक्चुअली आप कर नहीं पाओगे. 2-3 दिन के बाद ही आप देखना, 5 बजे, 6 बजे, 7 बजे, 8 बजे, ऐसा हो जाएगा. और आप गिल्टी भी फील करोगे, प्रभु जी मैं उठ नहीं पा रहा हूँ, लेकिन उठ नहीं पाओगे, क्योंकि एसोसिएशन की स्ट्रेंथ से ही हम लोग कर पा रहे हैं. अदरवाइज बहुत मुश्किल है. छोटी छोटी चीजें, जैसे अभी हम लोग काफी हद तक नेचुरल है हमारे लिए ओनली प्रसाद पे सस्टेन कर. आप कंपनी में जाओ, फिर देखो बहुत मुश्किल होगा. माइंड बोले ये तो खा ही सकते हैं. फिर आप पैकेट देखो, उसमें देखो इसमें तो हाँ ऑनियन गार्लिक तो नहीं है, हाँ इसमें तो कुछ गड़बड़ नहीं है, हाँ ग्रीन मार्क भी है. ऑफर कर सकते हैं इसको. फिर ऑफर कर दोगे आप इसको? हैं? हाँ भाई, तो जैसे यशोदन तो इतने अच्छे कंसेप्ट बता रहे हैं। मतलब आई वाज नॉट अपडेटेड। आई मिस्ड दिस स्पेशल। नहीं, घी वगैरह तो ले सकते हैं, घी में प्रॉब्लम नहीं, घी तो इंग्रेडिएंट के रूप में आता है ना, घी जो है। घर से भी अगर कुछ आता है तो बेस्ट है धीरे धीरे करके वहीं पर ऑफर हो जाए, और धीरे धीरे करके अपने पेरेंट्स ही आपके थोड़े चैंटिंग करने लगे हैं, नियम फॉलो करने लगे हैं, तो बेस्ट है ऐसा। बट माय पॉइंट इज वी नीड टू हैव दिस प्रैक्टिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट इट इज डिफिकल्ट, एंड दैट्स व्हाई एसोसिएशन ऑफ डिवोटीज प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल। अब ये सब छोड़, आप जैसे ट्रेन में अकेले जा रहे हो, जब भी आप घर जाते हो ट्रेन में जाते हो, तो अगले दिन सुबह 4 बजे उठ जाते हो? नहीं उठ पाते ना ट्रेन में, माइंड एकदम बोलता है चैंट बाद में करना, तो नहीं, सो जा, 16 मार्च बाद में, सो जा। करेक्ट नहीं? अब just imagine if we don't associate devotees, how much we will be able to practice. Second is we need to have gratitude to Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and devotees, that how they are keeping me engaged, how they are protecting me, they are helping me. Otherwise, without their blessing, help, mercy, and protection, very difficult in Kali Yuga. And same with this practice also, because of association, like here हम लोग साथ में सब बैठ के चैंटिंग करते हैं तो हो जाता है, टेम्पल में भी हो जाता है, पता ही नहीं चलता है। अब आप देखो जो अकेले रहते हैं या जो जॉब करते हैं, उनसे आप पूछो उनका प्रभु चैंटिंग कैसा होता है, आप बोलेंगे प्रभु रोज विचार आता है, कब तक मैं करूंगा ये 16 माला। इज अ फैक्ट। धीरे धीरे करके 16 से 12, 12 से 8, 8 से 4, 4 से 2, 2 से 1, 1 से 0। एक बार जो नीचे गिर जाता है फिर 0 से ऊपर उठना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है। क्यों हो जाता है बताओ? माइंड को वो पता है, बोला कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला है। अभी आगे नहीं बढ़ाना। बहुत ही कम केस होते हैं जिनमें कृष्ण का स्पेशल मर्सी मिल जाता है कि वो वापस जो है टर्न हो जाते हैं कृष्ण की तरफ, वरना बहुत मुश्किल होता है ऐसे। तो दैट्स व्हाई फॉर डूइंग दीज टू वी नीड डिवोटीज, saying that and we have to do these two things। एक तरीके से चैतन्य महाप्रभु की कृपा से हमसे बहुत ज्यादा भी एक्सपेक्ट नहीं किया जा रहा है, सुबह उठना है और 16 ही माला करना है। आप सोचो अगर हम भक्ति चंद्र ठाकुर के जमाने में पैदा होते, भक्ति चंद्र ठाकुर आपके कॉलेज में आते, प्रीचिंग करते, और प्रीचिंग के बाद बोलते कि प्रभु आई वांट टू एक्सेप्ट all of you as my disciples, so we'll have tomorrow initiation ceremony and all of you need to chant 64 rounds every day। तो आप में से कितने लोग भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर के शिष्य बनते हैं? भक्ति सिद्धांत सिम्मा गुरु, कितने शिष्य बन जाए? गुरु महाराज आपके शिष्य आएंगे तब बनेंगे, अभी नहीं। करेक्ट ना? और उससे पहले आप देखो चैतन्य महाप्रभु तो बोले तो लखपति नहीं, मैं खाना भी नहीं खाऊंगा उनके यहाँ। चैतन्य महाप्रभु के समय पे भी ऐसा, उससे पहले भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर वगैरह बाबा जी पूरा दिन ही हरे कृष्ण हरे राम। आप देखो प्रभुपाद जी इज द ओनली आचार्य हु ब्रॉट 216 राउंड एंड विद अ कंफर्मेशन दैट इफ यू डू दिस आई विल टेक यू बैक टू गॉड। ये बहुत बड़ा एक्चुअली मर्सी है, ब्लेसिंग है। हम सिर्फ 16 माला करते हैं बस, और प्रभुपाद जी की कृपा से प्रभुपाद जी वहां तक लेके आ गए, वरना भक्ति करना कितना मुश्किल होता है। करेक्ट? एक दिन भी थोड़े ज्यादा माला करना मुश्किल हो जाता है, होता है कि नहीं होता? 18 ही कैसे खत्म हो जाए तो माइंड बोलता है बहुत हो गया। करेक्ट? अच्छा, गुड़ा के स्प्रू हैं 128 राउंड्स डेली चैंटिंग करता है, कितना मतलब स्पेशल मर्सी रहा होगा लॉर्ड का उनके ऊपर। किसी का है हाईएस्ट 128 कैरियर हाईएस्ट? कितना है? हैं? हैं? नहीं कैरियर हाईएस्ट कितना है? 78। आपका 64 भी नहीं है आपका? अरे अरे कम से कम कैरियर हाईएस्ट तो होना चाहिए थोड़ा। क्या है? ठीक है एक दिन हमको चैंटिंग करना है पूरा दिन, ठीक है? नहीं मेरा 108 है। एक दिन हम करते हैं 128 का टारगेट करेंगे और उसमें कुछ तो 100 से तो ऊपर हो ही जाएगा सबका। नहीं उनको बुलाएंगे हम लोग कानपुर में, बोलेंगे हमसे बुलाओ। हम्म, हम लोग भी करेंगे कभी, या तो कैंप में करते हैं या कहीं पर अपॉर्चुनिटी। नहीं हरिद्वार या इसमें शुक्रताल में एक जगह करेंगे हम लोग। वो आप लोगों के लिए बोल रहे हैं। तो सेम दिस इज मेंशनिंग प्रभुपाद सवे कृष्ण पदार वंदय। ओके 61। 62 and 63. Now 62 and 63 they say, someone say okay I will not try to have this kind of sense control, what will happen? And this is the signs of fall down, 62 and 63। तो देखो 63 62 63 61 60 59। तो 59 में क्या बताया गया? टॉर्टोइस की तरह कंट्रोल करना है 58 में। और 59 में क्या बताया गया? हाइयर टेस्ट होगा तो ही सस्टेनेबल टॉलरेंस होगा, ये बताया 59 में। और 60 में क्या बताया? सेंसेस बहुत स्ट्रांग होती हैं, हाँ, और किसी को भी ले जा सकती हैं, तो बहुत मुश्किल है। और उसके बाद में 61 में बताया कि कैसे आप सेंस कंट्रोल करो और भगवान की उसमें लगाओ। नहीं उससे पहले हाई टेस्ट वाला आया था ना, 59 में ही था। हाँ सेंसेस बहुत स्ट्रांग है तो हाई टेस्ट चाहिए सस्टेनेबल के लिए। फिर ये आया कि आप दोनों चीज करो तो आएगा, नहीं करोगे तो क्या होगा? वो 62 63 में। इफ यू से नहीं नहीं प्रभु जी मैं सेंस कंट्रोल नहीं करूंगा, हाई टेस्ट डेवलप नहीं करूंगा, तो इस दुनिया में अगर कोई ऐसा है, एक्चुअली ही विल फॉल डाउन टू लोअर लेवल्स लाइक एनीथिंग। ऐसा हमको लगता है कि प्रभु जी ये डिवोटी नहीं है फिर भी इन्होंने तो कुछ बुरा कार्य नहीं किया, एक्चुअली आपको पता नहीं है। मटेरियल वर्ल्ड इज लाइक दैट, any person who is not a devotee of the Lord, he has done sin. He cannot, no matter how gentleman he is. And it is a fact. It is a fact. Because Krishna is saying, आप सेंस को कंट्रोल नहीं करोगे, सेंसेस ऐसे हैं कि आपको गलत डायरेक्शन में लेके चले ही जाएंगे, चाहे कोई कैसा भी हो। आप देखोगे अगर कोई भगवान का भक्त नहीं है तो या तो उसके इलिसिट कनेक्शंस होंगे, करेक्ट, या मीट खाएगा, या इंटॉक्सिकेशन करेगा, चाय कॉफी तो पिएगा ही, या गैम्बलिंग करेगा, या करप्शन में इन्वॉल्व होगा, या ग्रीड के कारण कुछ गलत डिसीजंस लेगा, या गलत तरीके से मनी लेगा, या ग्रीड एनवी के कारण जो है वो दूसरों को चीट करेगा। इसमें से कुछ ना कुछ सब जरूर करते हैं जो डिवोटी नहीं है कि नहीं? और ये बढ़ता ही रहता है, ऐसा नहीं कि कम होता है, ये बढ़ता ही रहता है। वो हमको कई बार पता नहीं रहता है क्योंकि ये सब चीजें वो छुपा के रखते हैं। बहुत सारी चीजें, जैसे कई बार माता पिता को पता ही नहीं होता है लड़का स्मोक करता है, और वो ग्लोरीफाई करता है हमारा लड़का, अरे क्या बताएं, कॉलेज में आईआईटी में बहुत पढ़ता है, बहुत अच्छा है हमारा, और यहाँ पर वो एकदम जो है स्मोक करता है। होता है कि नहीं होता है? और कई बार लड़कों को पिताजी के बारे में नहीं पता होता है, उनको लगता है पिताजी बहुत अच्छे हैं, पिताजी का किसी और माता के साथ कनेक्शन होता है। अरे असली में होता है ऐसा। करेक्ट, उनका किसी और के साथ में कनेक्शन है। Why? Because senses are like that. They will not keep. And now it has become a very common affair. Because Vedic time में क्या था? At least they knew, and the psychology of male and female. That's how society was designed. तो दे न्यू कि इस एज पे पुबर्टी आता है, मैच्योरिटी आता है, तो उसी के अकॉर्डिंग मैरिजेस हो जाती थी। और फिर क्या है, दे हैड यू नो एंड देयर वर अ कल्चर दैट यू कैन नॉट हैव आई टू एनी अदर बॉय और एनी अदर गर्ल। But nowadays you see from co-education from very childhood only. Girl knows so many boys and males before marriage, is it not? And boy also knows so many girls before marriage. And on the day of marriage also many friends of girls also come, and many friends of the boy also come. And then in the company, girl has to associate with so many, the boy has to associate with so many. Like that we see is a very contaminating environment. And then other things are there only. There is no discrimination in eating, and um, most people they take that as signs of more enjoyment, that I drink, I smoke, or I do all these things like that. People they want to go to those are materialist, which all places they go for visiting, all those places which are known for sense enjoyment, is it not? They'll go to Simla, Ooty, Goa. What people do there? Sense enjoyment, like that. So this Krishna